I met Matt through a referral of someone in the club, so he can probably tell you more about it in from his perspective. But I won't say his last name, but the other Matt, there's two of them, both from WA. He'd been with us for a couple of years, and then I believe he was talking with this Matt, and something occurred in that conversation that had Matt wondering what we're doing in here and how it might benefit him. So, Matt, I might ask you that. So, Matt, mate, what was the story? How did it happen with the other Matt?
So we're both business partners in another business, and uh, I guess I got to a point after it would have been about 15 years of having my business where things were feeling quite stale and there's a lack of fulfillment. And yeah, I can't remember the exact conversation, but I think the other Matt said, "Look, why don't you have a chat to Lee?" And yeah, and I guess it kind of like, well, I need to do something. So yeah, and then I went
Mm,
from there.
yeah.
Give it a
And
whirl.
give it a
Mm.
whirl. That's it. And mate, we love having you in the club, just as we do with Morris, of course. And I've got a couple of questions for you. You okay to answer a couple?
Far away.
Okay. So, Matt, in your own words, what's been notable for you since being a part of the club?
Probably the introspection, the looking
Mm.
inside more so than the looking outside. I think pre-club, I was probably mostly focused on reacting to things and looking externally for, validation. How much are we turning over? How much can we grow? I was focused on the things that I thought were really important, and I think in hindsight now, well, not in hindsight, but now I look back and go, having the things that we've done on looking within have not only magnified that, like by more than I would have done without that help, but they've also allowed me to focus on the most important component of the business, which is me,
Mm.
um, being a more balanced person, but also made me look outside of just the business and look at everything a bit more holistically and find a little bit better balance between family and work and everything else around it.
Yeah, nice. And like, guys, one of the things that we're really big on in the club is have your cake and eat it too. It's not one at the expense of the other. And so, what Matt has shown in his experience with the club that I've seen, and he's actually spoken about in his testimonial and in other ways, is the growing himself personally and that relationship to the business growth. And I think you've had a number of record months even recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's economic factors obviously that come into play as well with the
Mm.
building industry and ups and
Okay, yeah,
downs.
yeah.
But even taking that aside, you over the last 4 years, we're now almost three times the turnover, and I work between 30 and 40 hours a week.
What were you
So
working before?
uh, probably say 50, 55, something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I've never been a really hard
No.
worker like some of the people in the club have come from, but
Mm.
yeah, I feel more and more with the focus that we do. It's even if you say the time that's invested, most of us meditate, and part of the process of helping to look inside and understand what you're thinking and feeling and doing, and to balance yourself out. But yeah, I think yeah, I don't know. I work less and earn more, so it's kind of
Yeah,
works.
got to be happy with that. No,
Yeah.
that's good, mate. And I saw in actually a note that you sent to me earlier today in relationship to the end of the year. You were seeing that relationship between that and your leadership and how important it is, which you touched on before. It's important that you're in A1 condition because you're the leader of the group and the business,
Yeah,
which
100%.
is
Yeah.
awesome. Has there been a particular conversation or shared experience that shifted something big for you?
Look, I'm not great at remembering individual things.
Yeah.
And I would say it's probably not one specific conversation. I
Mm.
think what happens is, you're like Morris was talking about, there's a great group of smart people in a similar sort of position who have similar sort of issues, and we're all in the same sort of boat. And I think what you find is when you have the Zoom sessions, it might be Morris says something one day, you say something the next time, somebody else says something another time. And usually what I find is, even when I go into the Zoom sessions that we have, where perhaps, going into it, I'm not 100% engaged, or I'm thinking of other things, usually you come out with something. There's just that one or two little grains of information that, swell into something else. A prime example is when I was in the hot seat and Morris suggested the simplification sort of technique. So the last couple of weeks, it's become part of my mantra, throwing everything back at the whole simplification thing, and it's made life so much easier. Thank you, Morris. So for that awareness. So I would say not one groundbreaking particular conversation, but probably lots of small granules that combine over and compound.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely my experience as well. For someone considering joining, Matt, what would you say this community might bring to their lives and businesses? I know you've shared a number of things, but if in the frame of that question, is there anything that comes to mind?
It'll bring a variety of perspectives, some of which will challenge you, some of which will support you. But I think the challenges and the support are both equally valuable.
Yeah. Wow. Well said. Nice.